Hey, GroomPod listeners, clear your calendars for March 12th. The legendary show season tent sale is back in Tucker, Georgia, and it's bigger than ever. We're talking free door prizes for everyone, massive raffles from Utsumi and Groomers Mall, and a chance to win a K92 dryer from Electric Cleaner Company. Learn from the best with live demos by award-winning masters Nathan and Katie Austin. Plus, enjoy free shipping on all show season brand orders placed at the event. Coffee and lunch are on the house, but you must RSVP for a ticket. Head to showseasongrooming.com right now to register for free. See you at the tent. Hello, groomers. You found the GroomPod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susie, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anybody who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. And one of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and the co-star of this show, the curator of ingredients, Miss Barbara Bird.
Oh, hi, and you are my bestie. Susie, I'm so glad to come Sundays and hang out with you and talk shit about grooming. That's just my favorite thing to do. So here we are again. Let's see what we're going to talk about today.
Well, it's episode 472 of the GroomPod, recorded on February 15th, 2025. In this episode, we are creating our ideal ergonomic salon. Everything that we would like to have in our very own, if money was no object, salon. And Barbara is going to fill us in about ceramides, which is kind of a new trend. They've been talking about it a lot in human beauty, and we talked about it a little bit, but she's going to really dive deep and give us some good instruction about ceramides. And all of this is made possible through the support of our sponsors, Best Shot, Show Season, Precision Sharp, Groomore, and Stasco. And if you'd like to support the show, you can go to our website, thegroompod.com, and use the donation button, or join us on Patreon. But most importantly, tell a friend about the show. This week, What's New is brought to you by Groomore Software.
Is your mobile grooming business running you ragged? Stop zigzagging across town and start scheduling smarter with Groomore. Our smart route scheduling and automated wait lists keep your van moving and your table full, from intake forms to QuickBooks syncing. Groomore handles the boring stuff so you can focus on the fur. Join thousands of groomers who've leveled up. Visit groomore.com to start for free. No credit card required.
Well, my K92 is actually, for the most part, unrepairable. Rest in peace, K92.
Oh, let it serve you well.
So well. I mean, well over 20 years of service from this K92. Motor changes, brushes changes, cord rewiring, all kinds of stuff. And it's just held on like a mighty warrior. But both of the leads coming off of both motors are kind of shot. I could buy two motors, or I could perhaps take a dryer that wasn't picked up from the guy who repairs the dryers, and he said I could just pay him for the repair on that dryer and I could have it because they haven't come for a year. So I'm basically getting almost a brand new dryer from my repair guy for a reasonable price. I'm pretty happy about that. He's going to rewire it for my mobile use because I have two outlets. I need two extension cords to go in the outlets in the back of my trailer so I can control it through the switches up front. But I was really surprised. I thought, well, it was repairable. It could be repairable, but it would cost me two motors and a bunch of work. And so this works out really well. He gets a dryer off the shelf.
Yeah, almost as much as a new one.
Yeah, I thought I was going to buy a new one. I don't even know what color this one is, and I'm trying not to be particular about it because it's in the back and I don't see it anyway, but I'm replacing my purple one, which I find is sad. Maybe it's purple. Who knows? I didn't ask because it really isn't important. I'm just glad to get the uncircumcised penis hose out of my trailer as soon as possible. I hate that thing. I really do. And it is not as strong as a canine too. It definitely isn't as good with blowouts. But it does have the adjustable speed so that I can use it for the smaller dogs instead of grabbing my handheld dryer. But given the choice, it's loud, it's weird, and it's huge. The girth, it's a very girthy, uncircumcised penis. And I hate holding it with my arthritic hands.
Black.
It is. It is.
What happens with black penises sometimes?
Yes, well,
Too much of a good thing.
I'm looking forward to getting my dryer back. And then I notice it's time to do my blades. I got to get my blades sharpened. It's that time of year. It's not overly busy. Plus, everybody's dying on me anyway, so I don't have to worry too much. So they put to sleep one of the dogs that I found a lump on this weekend. And it was a reminder to me at how very important it is that we inform our owners of anything we see on the dogs. After working for years in a vet hospital, that was my main job. That was the way I paid for my space, basically, was by finding stuff and having it referred to the vet, and then they'd take a look at it while it was there. It's very convenient for the people. And at that time, I was working for a guy that I really trusted, and he had magic lump feeling hands. He could feel a lump and tell you what it was before you ever sent anything in, and he was rarely wrong. And he taught me as best he could how to feel those lumps and how to know what's going on. And there's good lumps and bad lumps, and there's bad spots and good spots. So I was doing one of my palm skis. This palm ski is the size of a husky with Malamute length Pomeranian hair. Her name is Kona. She's a middle-aged dog. She's a good girl, but she has the coat from heck. It's really a tough coat to deal with, but there's so much of it. So drying it with the uncircumcised penis was a little challenging. It took me a while. But like I said, I pride myself in finding things and heading off health disasters best I can. And I was working on Kona, and I ran my hand down her elbow, and she had a huge mass on her elbow. Gigantic. And it felt anchored. It's also right near lymph nodes, and I cannot figure out how I missed it. I don't know how it got so big and how I missed it. So I freaked out a little bit. And I called the owner out to the trailer, and we looked at it, and she's like, oh my God, I've never seen that on her before. And so she called the vet while I was working on her, and I lost it. I was crying. I couldn't figure out how I missed it. You know, I do the dog every month. My hands are all over that dog every month.
Maybe it was like super rapid.
It was super rapid. It's a thing that's called hygroma. And it happens on elbows and sometimes wrists and areas where they lay on hard ground. This is a dog that sleeps on her back, so it really didn't make a lot of sense that it would be this. But when described, it definitely is. They'll feel anchored. They're on the outside of the elbow where the calluses would form on the dogs, on the bigger dogs. But she's not a heavy dog. She's all fluff. And it's a fluid-filled, but it's not like a fatty lipoma. You can't really move it around. It's very attached to the elbow. And so she went in, and that's what it was. And it's possible it came up really quickly. But it's also possible I missed it. And it really threw me for a loop because the dog has so much hair. I shouldn't be so hard on myself, but I can't figure out how I didn't find it sooner unless it really came up in 30 days. 30 days, that's pretty quick for something that size. It was the size of a golf ball on her elbow, that big.
Maybe it was just like not quite detectable in the first month, and then boom.
Yeah, it freaked me out. Like I say, I pride myself on finding that stuff. I found the lump on the other dog's butt, you know, and here I come in and find this gigantic lump that I apparently didn't know. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's important to write this stuff down if you keep notes. I keep pretty good notes. And when I find something in an odd place, especially a bad lump in a bad spot, I will always note it on my card. And there was no notation on this card. So it's helpful, though, for the owner's sake, because we see the dogs anywhere from every 3 weeks to, every 6 weeks. The changes that happen, we are more sensitive to than they are when they're happening in their home over a slow period of time. So everybody keep good notes. Make sure you write down this stuff so that you can help your people. They oftentimes don't put their hands in all those spots. Like, I don't think she grabs the dog's elbow like I do and feels down that leg like I do. Just a word of caution. Do you ever find any yucky lumps?
I did. I have found a couple of 3 icky lumps in my day, especially on their butt. Saved a couple of dogs' lives. One of them was one of my bearded collies. And I can't remember if I found it or whether Yvonne found it and drew my attention to it. I think I found it. Yikes. The vet was so grateful.
Yes.
There again, it's because we just can see the difference. And dogs have a innate drive to cover up anything that's wrong. So they don't really go, oh, check this out, and shove their elbow in your face. They're going to tuck it under and, dance around it and keep you from finding it if they can, because that's how dogs are. They want to hide anything that's wrong because they always want to present an everything's groovy kind of impression on you.
I'm glad I found it. I'm glad they're going to get it. They may have to get it drained. It may just be there forever. But it's under a bunch of hair, so it's not an unsightly lump, because she's a very fashionable dog, and she wouldn't like it if you could see a big lump on her. It's underneath all that fur. Yeah, those butt lumps, those are big ones, because if it's not an actual mass, it could be a ruptured anal gland or an anal gland that's about to rupture. All of that needs to go to the vet. So that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. And if it's a male dog, here's what happened with my father's Akita that I ultimately inherited. Well, no, it was the one after. Is that he had a lump on his rear end, and the only sure way to keep the dog alive was to castrate him. And my father refused.
Oh.
And talked to the vet. I said, how can I put this? I tried, but that male thing, you're not going to do that to my dog. And I said, well, okay, it's going to die. And then the next thing I know, I answer the phone and it's my dad. Oh, Barbara, I think that the dog is dead.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, well, what's your first clue? Well, he's just lying there forever. And
that's a good impression of your dad. I can picture him from your voice.
I think he's dead. Oh, you would know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's rough, man. Make a note. Tell the people. I probably didn't need to have her run out, but when she got out to the trailer and we both looked at it and she said, her blood work was weird last time. Then I was like, oh no. And that made it even worse. And then I started to panic. And yeah, by the time I brought the dog in, I was crying. She's like, you're scaring me. And I said, I don't mean to scare you. I just feel like I let you guys down by not catching it. Now I feel better. Now that I know what it is, probably. And hopefully it won't mutate into something else, because sometimes that happens. And sometimes it blows up and drains in the house. They have a really nice house. I don't want that to happen. So hopefully they're going to Disneyland this week. Hopefully they'll get that thing taken care of at the vets, whatever they need to do to make it not quite so risky that it's going to blow up in their house. So Barbara, what's piquing your interest?
I'm very passionate about this new online journal that Chris Sertel and I are kind of managing. And it's her project, and I just tagged along on it, called Canine Esthetician Journal. Just right now, it's only for people who have taken her certification course in canine estheticians. This month, I submitted a rather lengthy article on leaky skin barrier.
Oh,
Boy, I'm getting technical. I'm getting good at it. I am so into skincare now. This all came about from my taking better care of my own face. Isn't it something?
it is.
So it just happened to erase a lot of the whatever stuff I had in my mind that was holding me back from engaging fully in the skin trend. I just lost all of that resistance, and I am so deep into it. And I wrote a long article with the help of AI. There are several breeds that have a genetic tendency towards leaky skin barrier, which means they're much more inclined to have allergy and itchy skin and dry skin and skin problems. One of the worst of the Westies, their tendency to skin problems, it's been linked to their inadequate skin barrier. So the truth is, some breeds of dogs actually got shortchanged by nature. Mother Nature fucked up. Gave the dogs, didn't give the dogs an acid mantle that people have. And so they're left with a more alkaline skin pH, which does not inhibit disease microbes from making their home in the skin. And it ultimately leads to barrier dysfunction and allergies. And I just scoped the whole situation out and wrote that article. I was very proud of it. And then for a second article, I was going to write an article on that dogs don't have an acid mantle. I was going to say, what? No acid mantle? And then I was going to explain that. But the truth of it is, AI and I were kind of not on the same track with that. I had to educate AI about dogs not having an acid skin mantle. AI was still kind of caught up in old way of thinking about that. And so I didn't submit the article. But what I submitted was my writing up about the pH study back in 2012. You know what, Susie? I read through what I wrote, and I was amazed that I did such a good job with what I knew then. There wasn't anything that I had to correct about that. It was just all real pretty clear. So I said, this article deserves greater readership. So I submitted it.
Oh, good.
That's where I've been. I deepen the skinification trend.
Excellent. Well, it's better than finding lumps and changing tires, which has been my life for the last 2 weeks. So it's all good, though. Hey, let's take a break, and then we're going to get to our first appointment, which is creating the most ergonomic salon we can, at least in our minds, if not in reality. So let's hear from our sponsors. Did you know that Stasco has come out with a couple of new products? First, there is the Stasco Oatmeal Protein Conditioner. This conditioner provides exceptional body and manageability and super shiny finishes. And it has a wonderful apple scent that I love. Great in the recirculator, too. And they have a new matching protein conditioning spray, dematting, anti-static conditioning, and finishing all in one, just like the original Stasco spray, but with that delicious apple fragrance. Look for these new products at trade shows and your favorite distributors like Cascade Grooming Supplies. Ready, groomers? Here comes our first appointment. Today we're talking about one of the things that decides whether you're grooming for 5 or 50 years, like Barbara. It's your environment. We're diving into the longevity by design aspect. We aren't just looking for a pretty shop. We're building a high-performance ergonomic sanctuary that protects your back, your wrists, and your sanity. Burnout and repetitive stress injuries really can cut your grooming career short. It's easy to do. So how many dogs you can do and how many years you can do it is kind of based on the equipment you have and how you go about doing your job. A truly ergonomic salon isn't a luxury. It's actually your retirement plan. So let's start by talking about the floor plan and the floors, both. I am a proponent of a double door system. This is if you were just drawing your plans up from the beginning in. Is what they do in like a zoo where they have free flight birds that you can go in and feed, is they've got an outside door and a little area and an inside door. So 2 doors aren't open at one time, so the dogs can't skate out the door like happened to you that one time. So I think if I was going to design my perfect spot, I would want those double door entry room kind of situation. And I know that's not really feasible everywhere, but it would be nice. But at least a regular door and then a door that separates the back of your shop from the reception area would be helpful. You had that. You had kind of a split up.
I had a half door, like a bottom door between the bathing room and the outer shop. And that was very helpful. And we had another half door at the front counter. But we did have 1 or 2 dogs that jumped both fences and slid out the front door just when a customer came in or something like that. It can happen in such a snap of the fingers. It's just timing. It's like a train wreck. It's just timing, and you can see it about to happen, and then poof, that dog is out the door, and there you are, like a mess.
Yeah, running after it when you're at 65 years old, trying to catch a dog going down the street is not easy. It's definitely not ergonomic. So try to prevent those things. Set yourself up for success instead of failure.
And the other thing is to really insist that people bring their dogs in on a leash. And cats, bring the cat in a carrier or at least a pillowcase. Because I used to just die when somebody walked in with their cat on their shoulder. Like, oh yeah, well, that's going to really work. Don't do that. Ultimately, that cat came to an early demise.
Yeah.
But not at my shop, fortunately. And it was a really cool cat. Well, anyway, but let's not get sad about that.
No, we're not going to get sad, but I'll tell you, people walk out to the trailer with their cat on their shoulder all the time. I turn them around, tell them, go right back in. I carry a carrier with me in the car. If you don't have one, I'll happily bring it in. But I do not want to be responsible for you losing your indoor cat outside.
And you don't want to be running around trying to look for and capture an indoor cat that's gone outside.
Yes, absolutely. And occasionally I have people who still have outdoor cats. It scares the crap out of me. I can't imagine that. But sometimes it's just the way you acquire the cat makes it so they're not a good indoor cat. And you have to leave them outside. But even if I'm doing one of those cats, I would prefer that the time it's with me, that it's contained in a carrier, that it's brought out to the trailer that way, and then I return it back in, and then they can let it out. But as far as I'm concerned, cats are inside, and I just don't want to be responsible for that. You mentioned, and you had at your place, an area for bathing that was a little bit separated. I would love to have a bathing area that has the tubs and the water and nice, floor mats on the ground so you don't slip, and a door that separates the wet dogs from everything else, because having spent 20 years in a grooming trailer where everything is less than a foot apart, it gets really wet everywhere in that.
It gets wet.
And there's no way to prevent it. And for your hearing and mind, if you have a drying area that's in with the bathers or a drying area that's even separate if you happen to be a big place, That's luxury. I would love that. A drying room, a bathing room, and a grooming area and a reception area. That would be like the holy grail of grooming shops.
But they have to all be intertwined in such a way that they're not out of sight, out of mind. Because I consulted with some people who were building a huge grooming spa place in a mall that had been kind of vacated. So they had an enormous space. And you went down a hall and they had the bathing room closed doors, and then the cages closed doors, and then the finishing girls closed doors. And you know what? Those dogs that were in those cages who were cage drying with closed doors out of sight of everybody, I had to bust them on that. I had to bust them. I busted them on that. And then the other thing that they were doing is they had this bathing system where on the story above their the grooming area, there were these 50-gallon tanks, 50-gallon tanks of diluted shampoo,
Oh, that's crazy.
including the medicated shampoo, including an oatmeal shampoo. And I said, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen to you because that 50 gallons had practically no preservative in it. And they were just sitting around, sometimes because they were slow in building up their clientele. These 50 gallons of shampoo would last for days and maybe a week or more. And I just said that's not going to work for you. You need to not do it. I don't know if they changed. They ultimately disappeared. There's this big production in Utah. At least they paid me to give them their advice, and that's what I told them. Like, don't dilute up more shampoo than you can use in a day, or two at the most.
Yeah, that's not my ideal situation for sure. And I like my crates or cages to be in the room with the finishing dogs. I know that sometimes creates some barking, but I like to be able to see them. Just like you were saying, I wouldn't like when I talk a drying room, I mean an HV drying room where there's a table and an area where the yuck is contained, the hair and the water and that stuff is contained. But I wouldn't put cage dryers in an enclosed room, definitely not. As a matter of fact, the vet hospital had that. The other groomer would put the dogs into the kennel area and then hang a cage dryer on them, and nobody would go back there. It was really bad. I really didn't like that. So that did not happen under my watch. I also think that anti-fatigue mats and mats on the floor, super ergonomic, super important.
Oh, absolutely necessary. There again, I've been saying this until the day I die. If there's one thing about my grooming that I would change, it would be to get on anti-fatigue mats early on. I waited like 12, 15 years on concrete, and I am paying for it to this day. My favorite setup was that I had puzzle mats. They interlocked, and they were not as much as in a fatigue mat, but they were very comfortable to walk on. And because I think that what you're walking on, oh yeah, people, you know what the staff would do? I would have them all set up so I had a path, a padded path from the back to the front. They would take them apart so that there was an unpadded path from the back. No,
We want that.
that's not what you. That's not what you want. I just got so in my last 3 years grooming in my shop, I got so that I couldn't stand or walk on the floor, bare floor anymore. It just ruined me, even just for a few minutes. It was hard. So that's important that floor stuff.
In the same line of thought, a stool that adjusts the height at your table. That's another part of the main floor plan. Everybody gets a stool. Everybody sits down and everybody stands alternating so that you get some rest and you get some activity during the day, because that's what they find is most important, is to mix that up.
Right.
Then like in my trailer, I had anti-fatigue mats made that fit in my space because it's so small. So you can do that. They're expensive, but I'm still using the original ones from 20 years ago. They're still thick and they're still cushy. And do not stack them on top of each other. I had a few extra ones from the vet hospital and I stacked them on top and it became a less stable situation. It made my ankles hurt.
Right. Whoops.
So just use one anti-fatigue mat.
What I would like to have that I never had, it would be a totally rotating table.
Ah, yes.
And a wall mount fluff dryer, so that I could, instead of moving the dogs around or going to the other side of the dog and dragging the stand dryer with me, I could just move the table around and grab this, and I would have some things coming from the ceiling, like clippers, maybe clippers coming from the ceiling. I think before you set up your grooming, you ought to go look at some industrial sites, and see just how are they doing ergonomics. This business about having drop-down tools is not a fantasy. It really happens in many manufacturing plants.
If you're going to start from ground zero, you want outlets on your ceiling, you want outlets on the walls, you want maybe even an outlet in a dry area, like your reception desk, you might have outlets on the floor. You want lots of outlets and you want them to be powerful wiring. You want good, solid electricians coming in and you want to let them know that you're in water. That's one of the advantages to having those tools up top, is it's not cords all over the place while you're trying to walk through. Because I've been in some grooming shops that look like a spaghetti bowl of cords, well, kind of like what I have here in my area. And it's very dangerous. And
oh, yeah. I fell. I wore flip-flops. Why did I wear flip-flops? I should know better. I wore sandals. I wore sandals to work one day and caught my toes, jammed my toes over a cord and tripped and fell holding a client dog.
Yikes.
Fortunately, it all happened in kind of slow motion and I was able to set the dog down as I fell, but I fell on my knee. And that was the beginning of the end to my right knee.
That's how it happens.
Yeah, it's how it happened. It's so stupid.
If you're doing a ground up construction, a really good ventilation system, just like they have in industrial areas. I mean, a really good ventilation and filter system. And then let's go over to the table.
Okay.
It's important to have an adjustable table. I like a small table, but you don't have to. Barbara uses her table to store things, so she has a big table. I have a small table. I don't like things on my table, and I don't want the dog to walk away from me. I think it's important not to have to reach. So I also have a table divider. And most of the time, unless I'm doing really big dogs, I'm only using half of my 36-inch table. I've never had a dog fall off because I'm right there. I like to have a tabletop that comes in a color that is not a dog color. Any color, like Curtis's were blue, like the Hanvey tables were blue marine fabric. There's no blue dogs unless you're doing a lot of creative. So blue is a great background to groom on because you can see the white dogs, you can see the black dogs, you can see the multicolored dogs. So I think just for your eyesight, for not getting migraines, for being able to discern the difference between the hair and the tabletop, I think a non-dog colored tabletop is good.
Basically, anything other than black is going to be better than black. Black is a color that erases visual acuity. That's what you use on a theatrical stage to hide things. black curtains, black covers, black just disappears from the visual.
It sure does.
It just disappears. It just disappears. So it's really hard to do. I mean, maybe if you just do white dog.
Maybe. I think your eyes would still get tired of the contrast, maybe. I also believe in an over the top grooming arm that goes all the way across and comes down.
Me too.
I personally am a fan of the hand V one because it screws into the tabletop. You can't just put it on any table. You've got to be able to screw it into the tabletop, but it can also hold 165 pounds, i.e. Curtis, hanging from it. It looks nice. It's got eye bolts so you can attach the dog's accoutrement, the accessories. It's got a chain system so that you can adjust. So I use a fixed ring grooming loop, and I usually attach 3 points of the dog. So I attach either the head up top and the head out front, and then underneath the hips, or the hips in back and the head loose, or any combination thereof, just so that if that dog steps off the table, it's not going to hang itself. I've just seen it. As a matter of fact, my friend had her dog, little tiny toy poodle, step off the grooming table and instantly break its neck. And I don't ever want to have that happen. That would be so traumatic. So I just feel like it's just safer that way. So that's just me. Also, with the Hanvy system, you've got the hammocks and you've got the T-strap. You've just got all kinds of neat stuff that you can use with it. With the fixed ring grooming loop, I always have a panic snap, which is a thing from the horse world. It's an in-between your loop and the top of the thing, so you can just release that loop if you need to in emergency. Also, the loops have a little clip on the side that you can get in and release them if something is going on that you need to. I also like to have a groomer's helper so I can cross tie, but I'm doing behavior dogs. I'm doing dogs that aren't perfect for grooming. I also have an anti-fatigue mat on my table. I know people use yoga mats, not the same. I have a full-on Costco anti-fatigue mat on top of my table so that the dogs are comfortable for the old guys, gives them a little break. Barbara likes to have a tool caddy.
Yeah, I want to have everything at hand's reach right at my table. So I have caddies that go onto the poles of your table that hold scissors, or, the ones I like the most are the ones that come from Tableworks. Boy, they got a lot of good things. They have an affordable third arm, kind of flexible third arm where you can use to put a hand dryer on there and move it to different positions to do plus drying. Tableworks is a good site to check out.
For sure. The 1-inch rule. Have you ever heard of the 1-inch rule?
I think I haven't. Guess what? I've forgotten it.
The 1-inch rule is if you can move your equipment 1 inch closer to your natural standing position, over your career, you will save miles of reaching and walking. The tub. They make adjustable tubs now. I think that'd be pretty neat.
Foot controlled lifting tubs. Boy, wouldn't that be? I would like that. I think I could go for that. And the other thing that maybe you're coming to it, and I'm jumping the gun here, lighting.
Oh, I didn't even mention lighting. You're right. Lighting is important.
Lighting is really important. You need to get lighting that is going to really make things easier to see and not create shadows.
Oh, that's such a good point. I didn't think of that. But it's true. I have really good lighting in the trailer. At the vet hospital, our lighting was too far away from the table. So it did create shadows, and it wasn't really bright on the area you were working on. So oftentimes we added a little extra lighting off to the side just to really light up the dog a little bit better. Good point. Yes. I like the walk-in tubs as well. The ones that have a little staircase or ramp and a little opening that the bigger dogs can walk in. That's pretty cool. If you don't have that, a table that goes all the way down to the ground and lifts all the way up so you can get the dogs in by pushing your table over. Barbara had one of those. That was nice.
Yeah, that was another handy table. It was called a Big Boy, and it was on kind of nice large wheels, and it was very sturdy. and it would go down to the ground.
That's important.
And you can put the dog on it. You roll it over to the side of the tub, put it down to the ground, ask the dog to get up on it, and almost all dogs would get up on that. And then you bring it up, you raise it up to tub level, and urge them to step into the tub now. There you go. Good boy.
Yeah, I've got a fixed table that the people who built my grooming trailer used, but I had them put in the spot for my hydraulic table. Now I have an electric table in there, and it goes almost all the way. I've got about a foot off the ground, but I can put any dog's front feet up and lift their back end up there. They never fight it. And then they can walk straight over to my bathtub without any stress or me having to lift them, which is really super helpful for longevity in the career. I also had at the vet hospital a shelf for small dogs so that you don't have to bend into the bathtub to wash the small dogs. They were up on a little shelf that was a grated shelf.
They make tables with these removable shelves that you can use for smaller dogs that have holes in them so that drains out.
That's really helpful. You had a bar over the top of your bathtub, didn't you, that you could use?
Oh, yeah, that was a long time coming. I didn't start out with that. But once I got the handy table with the bar over the table, it just was a matter of finding the right handyman to do the same thing in the tub, because it just gives you a better control of everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, better support system. And I could use a belly strap in the tub then to lift those dogs up that wanted to sit down or lie down in the tub. But, well, here you go, girl. They would be standing whether they wanted to or not. Yeah, mostly when they're supported like that to stand up, they don't fight it. You know, okay, I'm standing and this feels safe. You know, it's a safety thing. They want to lie down because they want to stay low and be safe. You need to consider the dog, what they're thinking and how they're reacting to what you've got set up. A little point of my own is that I can't stand stainless steel tubs. They just make so much racket and so much noise. And when I really realized that was when I was in Simpsonville and using her tub, and I wore my hearing aids back there. Because normally I've got about 1/4 hearing. I can disregard a lot of noise, but I had my hearing aids in and I worked back there. And every time that anything that you did, set the sprayer down, every move that you made just an awful sound. And I think that's got to be disruptive to the dog as well as to us. And speaking of hearing, whether you want to or not, you ought to be protecting your ears from any high velocity grooming that you're doing. From the, and if it's a lot of barking, put in those earplugs. You need to be proactive in preserving your hearing.
So important. Absolutely. Especially if you have a spouse or you live with someone. Really frustrating for the person you live with who, if you can't hear. Most importantly, in the bathtub, both for Barbara and I, is having a recirculating bathing system.
Amen.
I can't say enough about it because you don't have 50 gallons of diluted shampoo. Your shampoo is undiluted safely in a bottle. Because you can use conditioners, you can use shampoos, you can use after products all through the recirculator without having to change things or anything like that.
Bath bombs. Bath bombs work best with recirculating bathers.
I know that there's all kinds of other shampoo delivery systems, but none of them hold a candle to a recirculating bathing system as far as versatility, saving your hands, saving cleanup, saving time and water. Really, get a recirculating bathing system. And then lastly is the dryers. And like Barbara was saying, the TableWorks people, and I believe Chris Christensen knocked them off, they have an arm that attaches to your table that you can hold the hose for the HV dryer up in the air so that it's coming down and you're not having the weight of the hose on your hands. I am not a fan of the handles for HV drying. I find they put a lot of stress on my wrist when I was trying them out. But if you have that hose coming from above you off of a hose clamp, it is so much easier to dry the dogs. Of course, this uncircumcised penis hose does not fit in the hose clamp very well, so I'm not able to use it. It's a little too short to fit onto my table when the table's all the way up. So that is not helping me much. So I'm also dealing with that with my replacement dryer, but it's fine. I can live with it. It's temporary. It's good to have an HV dryer. It's nice if it's mounted up on the wall so that your hose is coming from above, but if not, the hose clamp on your table is helpful. Also, have a variety of dryers. If you're in a stationary salon, have a stand dryer because it's much more comfortable ergonomically to just brush and dry a dog when you've got the air pointed at the dog instead of having to hold something on your neck or hold it and brush with one hand like that. Also, if you can, have a handheld dryer as well. So I've got an ideal world would have 3 different dryers to use, plus the ones that maybe blow air and hang on a cage.
Yeah, and I used to have those brush dryers. Don't forget that. I used to use these brush dryers for ears and around faces of dogs that didn't like the blow dryer or any other form of drying, because if they would tolerate brushing, just a little bit of air would help dry that, and you could have beautiful ears then that way.
There's the obvious. I have a clipper vac. Some people like them, some people don't. I can't groom without it very well. I'm much better with it. Sculpting with air is helpful for me. Even with my bad hands, the proper combination of clippers and the hand V hose, not the clipper vac hose system, makes it completely bearable. And dogs are quicker and it's cleaner and I'm not breathing the hair and I get no hair slivers in my boobs like everyone seems to get. So I'm very happy about that. And then get shears that fit, get the lightest clippers. Weight matters. So use light stuff. That's it. That's all. I'm done. Now let's see if we have time for Barbara. Let's take a quick break and we will be right back.
From the straight and the curve to the thinned and the chunked. If your shears aren't precise, then your finish is bunked. The bobcat is smooth and the lynx is a beast. Give your tired hands a holiday or a permanent feast. Slide that thumb ring forward, slide it way back. With precision sharp tech, there's nothing you lack. Lightweight design means no more hand pain, just a flawless coat and a whole lot of gain. For the edge and stay sharp and the fit that is true, Precision Sharp has the perfect pair for you. Shop the Lynx and Bobcat at PrecisionSharp.com.
Groomers, take your seats. It's time for B-Bird's Classroom. They talk a lot about ceramides and human beauty. It's spilling into pet care just like it always does. Tell us about ceramides.
Well, ceramides are lipid molecules that constitute about 50% of the skin's composition. There are other liquids on the skin that are important, are cholesterol and fatty acids. So the combination, there's a kind of a 3-part thing: ceramides plus cholesterol plus fatty acids. And what we're finding in human skincare is that they're actually formulating sprays, creams, conditioners that include all 3 of those elements. But the most important one are ceramides. And you might remember, Susie, from years ago, my talking about in regards to hair care, like what good did it do to throw keratin at hair shafts, because it was like throwing bricks to a broken down brick wall. When we look at replacing lipids from the skin, which you hear a lot of talk about, that aggressive shampoos and really almost any cleaning system removes lipids from the skin. What they're removing are ceramides. So it doesn't really do much good to throw plain conditioner in to replace ceramides. So we're starting to see products that include ceramides. And I, for one, am really glad to see this. So the significance of the ceramides in skincare was recognized when researchers discovered their crucial role in maintaining skin barrier function. Since then, ceramides had become a fundamental in many skincare for humans formulation. Ceramides are crucial for maintaining the skin's health because they strengthen the skin barrier, they prevent transepidermal water loss, they protect against environmental damage, and they help soothe sensitive and irritated skin. Ceramides are classified science-wise as essential lipids, playing a vital role in ensuring skin integrity. Their hydrophobic nature allows them to hold moisture in the skin while acting as a barrier against harmful external factors. So, unlike some moisturizers, you're not just pointing water product to the skin and expecting it to stick there and make a difference. Ceramides make a difference. They lock in the moisture. They function by creating a mortar between the skin cells, which acts like glue to lock in hydration. Without sufficient ceramides, the skin can become dry, irritated, and prone to damage. And that's why some moisturizing treatments don't work for some dry skin problems. There are actually several types of ceramides used in skin care products. This would be human, including ceramide 1 EOP, which supports skin barrier function, ceramide 2 NS, which helps in moisture retention, ceramide 3 NP reduces skin irritation, ceramide 6 AP aids in exfoliation and skin renewal, and ceramide 9 provides overall skin resilience. Of all of these, do you need all of them in one product? It would be lovely to have a full selection of ceramide. Mostly you find ceramide 3 NP, which is the best kind of overall of the ceramide types. Ceramides work alongside other lipids such as cholesterol and free fatty acids to maintain skin hydration and elasticity. The balance between these lipids is essential for healthy skin. The formula for ceramides and cholesterol and fatty acids is 3 to 1 to 1. So there's 1 part cholesterol to every 3 parts ceramides and 1 part free fatty acids to every ceramide. Ceramides can be derived from animal sources found in bovine brain tissue and other animal fats. Plant sources, phytoceramides, can be extracted from wheat, rice, and soy. And synthetic sources, actually lab created ceramides that mimic perfectly natural ones. Which is better, natural or synthetic ceramides? Natural ceramides are derived from plants or animals. Synthetic ceramides are engineered to be identical in function. Both types can be effective in skincare, but synthetic ceramides tend to be more stable and more bioavailable.
Plus, it makes me happy to not take it out of a beef brain.
Yeah, like you don't need to take it out of the cow brain. But the thing of it is, the phytoceramides are good too. But in order to make a product that's consistent from batch to batch, et cetera, the synthetics are going to function so much better, and they're more stable. They're going to last, going to have a better shelf life. What processes are used to derive ceramides for skincare? Fermentation. Hey, an old favorite of mine, or shall we say, a new favorite of mine. Fermentation can be used to derive ceramide from koji fermentation. Hydrolysis. Hydrolysis, a method for extracting phytoceramides from grains, as in hydrolyzed wheat protein, right?
Right.
And then synthetic engineering, creating ceramides in a lab to ensure consistency. The role of plant-based ceramides. Phytoceramides derived from plants such as rice, wheat, and sweet potatoes support skin hydration and barrier function. They are often included in vegan skincare formulations. Ceramide-rich foods that support skin health. You can't fix poor skin just by manipulating things topically on the surface of the skin. Skin health really comes from gut health. So these foods are good for you or your animals. Brown rice, sweet potatoes, soybeans, wheat germ, and dairy products.
Like ice cream.
Yeah, I think ice cream. A little ice cream is going to help your skin. Well, then you can tell your mom that. Like, hey, look, I need this on my skin. Ceramides are essential in keeping skin healthy, hydrated, and resilient. By reinforcing the skin's natural protective barrier, they help combat dryness, irritation, and signs of aging. Whether used in moisturizers, serums, cleansers, ceramides are indispensable to an effective skincare routine. So I think we're going to find a lot more ceramide products coming into the grooming industry. And one that I found today or yesterday was Davis Manufacturing has a ceramide shampoo. And I looked at it. It looks really good on paper. It's called Davis Ceramide Shampoo Sulfate-Free Restorative Cleanser. And I think y'all need a bottle of this at your side. Its cleansing agents are disodium lauryl sulfosuccinate, along with sodium cocoa isocyanide and cocamidopropylbutane, a good 3-part cleansing system there. Then it contains ceramides 3, acrylates copolymer, which is going to be a thickening agent, pearlizing agent. Davis loves pearlizing. pH adjuster, and preservative is sodium benzoate. I don't trust sodium benzoate to last all 2 years. I would not buy more of this than I could use in 6 months.
Okay.
This is hypoallergenic, Susie. It has a cool mint fragrance, but it's not overdosed. It's not fragrance forward. It's not the fragrance that you're buying the product for. You're buying it as a skincare product. So if you have any kind of a dog that's subject to itching or dry skin or hot spots or signs of a breakdown in the skin balance, you want to use a product like this. And I'm going to get some for me to have on hand. And I think that we should both test it and see what we think.
Sounds good.
It's simple enough. It's not an overly complicated product with 36 botanicals. It's a really good, clean, sulfate-free cleansing system with ceramides added and men down to the preservatives. It's just not really complex. So I think that's a good thing. I think it's going to be really good for any kind of skin conditions, as well as prevent. Use of this product will prevent things. So if you have a dog that has a few flakies, use this on them for a few times and see if that doesn't help clear it up.
If anybody has used this ceramide shampoo from Davis, please let us know on our discussion group, facebook.com/group/the GroomPod. And let us know if it worked for you guys or how you felt about it. We love the feedback. And that's going to wrap it up for today. That was really interesting. And Barbara and I will get a hold of some of this shampoo ourselves. But meanwhile, we'd love to have your anecdotal stories about it. Anything you need to add, Barbara?
No, I think I'm done.
Good. I think we're both done.
Stick a fork in me.
Indeed. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thank you for supporting the show. Remember to tell your friends to listen and support our sponsors. And happy grooming. See you next time on the GroomPod. Bye-bye now.
And remember, we love you.